Good morning, everyone. As I promised, I am recording this video to help you out with your introduction because you have the deadline for next Friday. Let me check the date, and I am actually going to post. Let me check my calendar. 26 would be the deadline for intros, and I know that you have the test, so you are getting ready for the test. But I also wanted to give you some guidelines. So if you have the time in between studying and you want to work on your introduction, so you have some sort of a guideline. We will talk about it, of course, again about intro, and I will answer your questions on Thursday. But I just wanted to go ahead and share a little bit information on introductions. And again, I will post this little handout that I have here for you on D2L. If you go to the content tab, I will post it on the term paper folder, whatever we have. I will post everything related to the basically our projects in that module for you. Okay. All right. So before, of course, you start working on your introductions, please check out my comments, my feedback basically for your research questions. Now that you know what you are planning to do, you are going actually to put more thoughts into your introductions, and you are going actually to um, break down your research questions. Some of you already did a great job with doing that when you gave me your intro, but if you didn't, this is the time to narrow down your big thoughts, basically, and explain them in more detail in your intro. So basically, in introduction, you are going to introduce what is known regarding your research, what is not known in regard to your research question, and how basically you are going to fill the gap between what's known and what's unknown. That's the purpose of introduction. Also, in your introduction, you are going to attract your readers, okay? So when you read the introduction of any paper, you are going to get good ideas about what that paper is about. And of course, later on, when you're giving me your final paper, even in your introduction, you are going to give your readers a little bit of a hint about your results and your findings. So your introduction that you're giving me right now will be different from what you will give me in your final paper. And of course, in the final paper, you're going to put all the pieces together, right? You are giving me your introduction, you are giving me your abstract, you're giving me your analysis, literature review, you're putting everything together. So you are going to modify because you're giving me 1 to 2 pages of intro, but when you're giving me your final paper, it is not going to be 2 pages introduction. It's typically a few paragraphs or a few sentences, even if you look at some of the economic papers. So you are going to summarize even your introduction when you are giving me your final paper. But for now, we want actually to think when we are writing our introduction, we want to spend some time finding basically ways to start our research. We have the research question. Now, in your intro, you are going to break it down. You are going to think really, really hard that how your research is going to fill the gap between what's out there, what is people done for you, what is it that they didn't do, and how you are going actually to fill that gap. Okay. So we are going to write more than what we typically see in actual economic papers, if that makes sense. Okay. So I also tried to put some sort of examples for you in this handout. So as I mentioned, you want to break down your research question. You want to be very precise about what is exactly you are going to do now that you have your research question. Okay. If you have any let's say acronyms, you want to explain them here in your intro, okay? I think it was one of you who is working with Bureau of Labor Statistic website. So if that is the case, I know we write BLS for Bureau of Labor Statistics, but you want to explain what BLS stands for, or electric vehicles, EV. Explain it here. Okay, it was Gabriel's project. Um, you want, as I mentioned, again, like here, you want to clearly say what your research question and your project is about here in one or two sentences. It shouldn't be like a page. It can be in few sentences, okay? You are going to repeat your research question, but this time you gave me already, but this time you are going to talk about the methodologies that you have. And some of you already gave that to me when you gave me your research question. But if you did not, and even if you did, you want to repeat it again here. For your research question, you are going to explain what is your methodology that you are going to use to provide answer to your research question. Are you going to gather data? Are you going to do surveys? Are you going to just rely on your literature review? Because sometimes the data is not available to us, it's not out there. So you are going to do some sort of um, qualitative analysis in your research instead of using data that we call it quantitative data. What is your methodology that you are going to use to provide answer? This is the part that we are making ourselves basically ready and our projects ready for the analysis part, which is the big part of your research. And of course, before we work on the analysis, we are going to read more papers. When you are done with introductions, I will ask you to read papers and write your literature review, because by reading other people's work, first of all, we get ideas about how we can tackle our projects. And also, you are going to find out what people already did, okay? And you're going to kind of look into um, the ways that you can apply other people's work into your project. But your introduction overall is making you also ready to work on your analysis by relying on literature review, learning more about basically the area of your interest and what you're doing in your project. So if you're doing a small business, you are going to read a lot of like I think it was Lindy, a lot of papers about small businesses, right? So how can you use those work um, and what other people basically did and applied in your own research? You can also get ideas also when you read other people's work about what type of methodology you want to use in your project. So you guys should be constantly reading papers basically at this point, because that's how you can get ideas about the tools that you are going to use to find answers to your research question. Okay. Also, typically in introduction, we also talk about, as I put it here, why should the readers care about your topic? Why do you think that your topic would be important? Okay. Zoe, for instance, is doing, and I apologize if I'm not using your project as an example, I'm just thinking at top of my head. So she is focusing on organic products and the pricing. So why it is important for us to know about the pricing strategies of organic products and possible changes in the demand for organic products. Okay. Is it important for consumers? Does it matter to producers? Does it matter to policymakers, or all of the above? Okay. So you want to also have some sort of um, um, bringing basically awareness to your projects. That would be also this part is about why the readers should care about your topic, why your project is important, basically. Okay. And you want also to repeat that definitely when you're presenting your projects, okay, during your presentation time. You're also going to give me a little bit of a background, and I have a typo here. You're going to also give me a little bit of a background, which again goes back to the papers that you are reading, how they are relevant to your topic, how other people's work is relevant, are relevant to your topic. Um, so you can give me some background information about your topic. Again, some of you already did that when you gave me your research question. So you can use your research question and copy basically that part for your intro and background. That will be completely fine with me. I already mentioned if you are using acronyms, if you are using terminologies, you want to explain all of them in your introduction. If you have any specific methodology, you're using any specific economic models. For instance, again, Lindy she mentioned she wants to do regression. So again, she already gave it to me, but she is going to repeat when she gave me her research question, but she's also going to elaborate a little bit more here in introduction. So that's why introduction is important, okay? And also, if you already found something in terms of like findings, this is the part that I put here. It doesn't necessarily apply to us right now, but definitely you are going to put your findings when you are giving me your final paper. You are going to put your findings very briefly in your introduction. Maybe I mentioned it in your class, but when I read papers and I want to see if they're relevant to what I'm looking for, I read introduction and conclusion, and that's it. If I like the paper based on the intro and conclusion, um, I go and read the entire paper. Especially if I don't find the introduction relevant to what I'm looking for, I'm not even going to read the conclusion. So introduction is the key to attract people, read your paper, read your work. So that's very important to also put some basically Easter eggs in your intro. Again, that would be for just the final paper. You do not have any findings at this point for your project, but in the future, when you are done with your paper, you want to bring some part of your findings and make your introduction attractive, basically encouraging your readers to, okay, go and read my analysis, go and read my literature review. Okay, so that's very, very important. Again, read my examples also here. I hope that you find it helpful. And I tried actually to give you a little bit of a checklist at the end. So when you are done with your introduction, you can answer basically these three questions. Read your intro and see if you answer these three questions or not. And I'm also going to post again Roberto, my former student's intro. I have his permission, so I can use his work his introduction for you. It was for macroeconomic class, but it's the same. I just want you to see the format. I think it would be more helpful if I also um, put examples for you from my former students for different parts of the paper. I know that I shared his paper and his presentation with you, but I think from now on, I'm going to also put some examples for you when we complete each part of our paper. I think that would be more helpful. All right, so guys, have a great weekend. Study hard for the test, and I will see you on Tuesday. Take care.